A scary situation in Decatur as a house has exploded on North Monroe Street. It is a very fluid situation and we have multiple crews out on the scene. And right now our Doug Wolfe joins us with the very latest.
Dawn, firefighters are fighting this active fire just south of the Decatur Memorial Hospital campus on Monroe Street. Shortly after 1 o'clock this afternoon, fire department received a call of a house explosion. When they arrived on the scene, this particular house that they're battling the fire at right now was virtually leveled. Some witnesses said it actually lifted up and came back down. The flame you're seeing has been going nonstop. The firemen are pouring a lot of water onto it. Amarin is here, giving an indication that maybe this is a possible gas type explosion, but again, that has not been confirmed. There are two other houses either side of this particular structure. The house to the south of it, heavily damaged, looks like the front windows were blown out, has fire damage. The house to the north of it, can't really tell what the damage is there, but it looks like the windows have been knocked out of it. Again, firefighters fighting this fire on Monroe Street, just south of the Decatur Memorial campus. Now, I talked to a gentleman by the name of Darren Cole. Mr. Cole lives 2 blocks from here in his house. He felt that explosion 2 blocks away from here, came outside and came down the street and saw the fire that you're looking at right now. Decatur firefighters, Decatur ambulance, Decatur police, Amarin, all on the scene of this structure fire here on the north end of Decatur. Decatur police have Monroe Street blocked off, so don't bother to try to come down here. They're not going to let you anywhere close. They're keeping us and other spectators well back, and just in case there's another explosion, like a secondary explosion. One gentleman indicated that he owned the house that's south of there and that was damaged. He said that he had a tenant that was living in that house. He does not know if that individual was home or not at the time of that explosion. So what we're looking at again, house explosion in Decatur, about a block south of the Decatur Memorial main campus. Again, no reports of injuries yet, but you know, it'll be a while before we find out if there was anybody in there. This is Doug Wolfe reporting live from Decatur. We'll have more tonight on WAND News. Dawn?
Doug, thank you so much for that update. And again, the area is being evacuated and blocked off, as Doug said, so please avoid that area so that there are no more problems. And we'll be back with the latest as soon as it becomes available, and be sure to tune in tonight at 4, 5, and 6.
Good afternoon. We've got a quick update on a breaking news story for you right now. A house explosion on the west side of Decatur. We've got evacuations and roads still shut down. Let's go to Sean Streety. He's live on North Monroe. Sean, what's the latest?
Indeed, I want to give you the latest, Marianne, with Deputy Chief Jeff Abbott of the Decatur Fire Department. I know the gas situation seems to be under control right now. Amarin has been digging, working on the line there. Wow. Tell me what you found when you got here and the situation now.
Okay, the first crews that arrived, it came in as a house that exploded. The first crews coming in had the house in the middle right now, completely destroyed. They had fire extending to the one to the south. They had damage to the one to the north and damage behind it to another, I think a garage or house behind it. And they had a lot of fire showing to the south and all this debris in the road from the main house.
Right. No reports of deaths or injuries?
No reports of deaths or injuries. The house that exploded was vacant. The house to the north, people were living there, but they weren't home. And there was a lady home in the house to the south who was, as my understanding, she was blown across her living room when it exploded, but she's uninjured.
Okay. Any remaining danger for anybody in the area now?
I believe Amarin has got the gas situation. They've got the lines capped off. They're testing them right now. The only danger at this point is the house, the main house is unstable, and we're looking to take that down here and as soon as Amarin's done with what they're capping the gas lines.
All right, so who will lead the investigation?
Our fire investigators will investigate it, and they will work with Amarin to try to determine, you know, if it was in fact a gas leak, which it appears to be.
All right, Deputy Chief Abbott, thanks for your information and your work today. Obviously, this situation's still unfolding. The cleanup has to go on, but fortunately, no deaths or injuries to report here on North Monroe Street in Decatur. I'm Sean Streety with the latest.
Sean, thanks so much, and I know you'll keep us updated. We'll have more on First News at 4. Back to our programming.
We're still following a breaking news situation in Decatur. We were the first to bring you information and pictures of a house explosion. WAND Sean Streety and Doug Wolfe are live on North Monroe Street in Decatur with the latest.
Dawn, This neighborhood in the 2100 block of North Monroe Street was rocked when a house exploded just behind us here, and leveled the house, took it off its foundation, damaging 2 homes nearby. Doug Wolfe was one of the first on the scene when the fire department got that call of a house on fire, and boy, the pictures have told it all, haven't they?
They certainly have, Sean. In fact, what we saw when we got here, the whole front wall was completely blown out of the house, and the house virtually leveled. What was left of it, the firemen were into the front of the house. A pretty intense flame was burning. You could tell right away that this was a gas explosion, because that was gas coming up out of a line right in the middle of the house. Ameren responded immediately, and when Ameren came, they dug a hole right in front of the house in the street, and then basically cut off that line to cut off the gas so they could put the fire out.
No doubt about it, and it looks like the scene is secure right now, although they were putting out some of the hot spots earlier.
They were indeed.
The deputy chief earlier says the hot spots are out and the situation seems to be under control. But the debris we've been finding around here just at this park, just outside near the nursing home here, it tells you the force this thing had.
Yeah, it blew insulation right across. There's a nursing home about a block away. It blew it almost up to the nursing home. So pretty powerful explosion.
Well, Michael Burton was out here as well, as our team has been on the scene since this all happened. Michael, you talked with some people who felt, and some maybe saw it, but most people felt this explosion, didn't they?
You know, Sean, I talked to a couple of people. One woman who was driving down the block as the explosion happened, and she said her windows were shattered. She was shaking. She had to pull over because she was so shaken up just to collect herself. I talked to another woman who lives about a block away, and she said that her whole house shook. She was instantly terrified. A few of her windows were cracked. They weren't blown out. She's okay. I talked to a few other people, and everyone's safe, and that's kind of the good thing right now.
No doubt about it. All right, thanks, Michael. And that is the bottom line here. Despite all of the destruction behind us, 2 homes on both sides were damaged. As you heard from Chief Abbott, one woman who lived there was blown across her living room but did not require treatment. Fortunately, no deaths or injuries associated with this house explosion in Decatur. Of course, we'll hear more from that deputy chief coming up at 5. Live from Decatur, Sean Streety, WAND News.
Boy, Sean, when you see the house and you see the pictures, it is a miracle that nobody was hurt, especially on either side of the people that were home. Appreciate it. We'll check back.
The house that exploded was vacant. The house to the north, people were living there, but they weren't home. And there was a lady home in the house to the south who was, as my understanding, she was blown across her living room when it exploded.
Breaking news in Decatur tonight. It's a story you first saw here on WAND. Information and pictures of a house explosion that rocked a neighborhood. WAND Sean Streety is live on North Monroe Street tonight with the latest.
Yeah, right here in Monroe Park, Dawn, I can tell you still smelling the smells of burnt wood and insulation. Apparently natural gas was the source that ignited this house explosion in the 2100 block of North Monroe Street about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Streets are still closed here in the 2100 block of North Monroe, both at Harrison and Hay Street, as the cleanup continues. I talked with the deputy chief of the fire department about what happened. First of all, most importantly, no deaths or injuries, but people are pretty lucky.
No deaths or injuries. There was only one person home to the house to the south, and she was blown across her living room but uninjured.
And the house on the other side, what was that?
The house to the north, the people weren't home at the time that it happened.
And the house that actually blew up was for sale, it was vacant?
Correct.
All right. What do you think blew it up?
At this time, we're suspecting a gas leak. And that's what Ameren's going to try and determine, and our fire investigators are going to try and determine as soon as the house is stable enough. It may not even be stable enough. We may just have, I think they're just going to have to tear it down and see if they can try to locate the source from there.
So this rattled windows and threw debris and the whole bit, didn't it?
Absolutely. You can tell by the debris on Monroe Street that a lot of debris went across the street, debris into the house on both sides, debris to the house on the backside and the garage on the backside.
When it comes to a gas line that could be leaking, in your experience, is that what usually causes that?
Well, there's a variety of reasons for gas leaks. So that's probably a question for Ameren. We generally have, the times that we have issues is when people are trying to take copper out of a house and they don't realize that the gas is still on, and you end up with a free-flowing gas situation. And then all it's doing is looking for an ignition source.
And it was vacant?
Yes.
So it's a possibility. You'll find out more in the investigation. Anything else that's important we should know?
At this point, obviously Monroe Street on that side is closed down. we're just waiting. I think the gas is shut off. The gas has actually been capped, and we're waiting to tear the house down. And then hopefully when that's all done, we can get all the hidden fires out, and we can be everybody can leave.
That teardown is going on as we speak right now. Doug Wolfe was one of the first here on the scene to see this unfold, and Doug, quite a sight.
It was, Sean. You know, when we pulled up, the whole front end of the house was completely blown out, and there was a significant large flame right in the middle of the house. That was from a broken gas line, as we now know, that was just basically fueling the flames of this fire. The firemen were pouring water on it for quite a while. Ameren showed up on the scene sometime later, dug up in front of the house and sent their people into this big hole and basically shut off the gas in front of the house. But it burned for quite a while. The amazing thing, nobody hurt. By the way, Sean, that house, the for sale sign was sticking up in the rubble for quite a few hours after that, because this home was for sale. I think the asking price has come down by quite a bit.
I would say. And Michael Burton talked with some of the neighbors who were shook by the explosion, and you talked with some people about what they saw and heard.
You know, Sean, what's concerning is that the explosion happened right across the street from a public park, Monroe Park, and it's the summertime, so a lot of kids are out here riding their bikes and playing. And I talked to one kid who was on his bike when the explosion happened. He said he heard a big boom, he fell off his bike a little bit, and before he had time to really turn around and see what happened, he rushed home to his parents' house and asked, hey, you know, did you guys hear that? And they said, yeah, the whole house shook. So the effects of this are pretty widespread.
Yep, no doubt. It definitely is something that's the talk of the neighborhood tonight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no deaths or injuries. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
And the investigation obviously ongoing, as you heard, in terms of what caused this explosion. More importantly, that natural gas source, something they'll be looking further into. Coming up at 6, we'll have more from the scene as the teardown and the cleanup continues here on the north side of Decatur. Live in Decatur, Sean Streety, WAND News.